We are about 3 hours away from President Trump's first major policy address. In it, we will learn his strategy for dealing with America's longest war. Expectations are he will allow his commanders to increase the U.S. military presence in Afghanistan, something he has strongly opposed in the past. The address also gives President Trump a chance to reset after one of the most difficult weeks of his presidency. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Catherine Herridge will tell us what the intelligence community is saying about Afghanistan and the chances for victory, what that looks like. We start off, though, with Chief White House correspondent John Roberts at Fort Myer in Virginia, where the speech will be held tonight. Good evening, John.
Brett, good evening to you. As you can see, the troops behind me are now gathering in anticipation of going in to witness the speech tonight. The president has said repeatedly over many years that the war in Afghanistan is going nowhere and is in urgent need of a new strategy. But what he's expected to propose tonight differs vastly from what he has advocated in the past. At the president's only public appearance so far today, watching the eclipse, he said nothing about tonight's address, though he is expected to announce more U.S. troops will be heading to Afghanistan.
I think what we're going to see is him honor General Nicholson's request for more troops.
About 4,000?
About 4,000 to train the Afghan National Army and police and the governance of Afghanistan.
In 2013, long before Afghanistan was his responsibility, Donald Trump was a fierce advocate of complete withdrawal. In a series of tweets writing, quote, "We have wasted an enormous amount of blood and treasure in Afghanistan. Their government has zero appreciation. Let's get out." And this, quote, "I agree with President Obama on Afghanistan. We should have a speedy withdrawal. Why should we keep wasting our money? Rebuild the U.S." As a candidate, President Trump conceded he has little choice but to continue the fight.
I'd stay in Afghanistan. It's probably the one place we should have gone in the Middle East because it's adjacent and right next to Pakistan, which has nuclear weapons. So I think you have to stay and do the best you can. Not that it's ever going to be great, but I don't think we have much of a choice.
The president made his decision after a meeting of his full National Security Council at Camp David on Friday. 3 basic options were on the table: stay and increase troop levels, pull out, or replace U.S. troops with private contractors. Private contractors, an idea advocated by the president's former chief strategist Steve Bannon, wouldn't fly with military leaders. Pulling out, according to Newt Gingrich, isn't an option either.
We know that the last time we allowed Afghanistan to be an empty space, it was filled by the Taliban and by al-Qaeda, and the planning for 9/11 was done in Afghanistan. We know if we pull out and the government collapses, you're going to have some combination of ISIS, al-Qaeda, and the Taliban running the country again.
The president's announcement tonight will be welcomed by the military, which has advocated a larger troop presence to deal with insurgents. But the president may be on less friendly territory tomorrow when he travels to Phoenix. Phoenix's Democratic mayor has said he'd prefer President Trump stay home, pointing to the president's meandering response to Charlottesville and his pronouncement to Fox News that he is considering a pardon for controversial Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who was convicted of criminal contempt of court. President Trump avoided a potential confrontation in Washington, announcing that he and the First Lady will skip December's Kennedy Center honors. The president said he did not want to be a political distraction. 3 of the 5 artists being honored said they would either or were thinking about boycotting the traditional pre-show White House reception. And the Secret Service today denied a report that the increased demands of protecting President Trump and his family have left the service so strapped for cash that it can't pay overtime for its agents and officers. The service did acknowledge some 1,100 personnel will put in overtime they won't be paid for, but in a statement said, quote, "This issue is not one that can be attributed to the current administration's protection requirements, but rather has been an ongoing issue for nearly a decade due to an overall increase in operational tempo." And back to Afghanistan here at Fort Myer. The plan that the president is expected to outline tonight will be a comprehensive strategy for the greater South Asia region and will likely address Pakistan's lack of action against bad actors who find safe harbor in its tribal areas, as well as corruption in the Kabul government. Brett?
John Roberts at the site of the speech in Fort Myer. John, thanks.